Welcome back to Insights at DDLynn Designs, a unique twist in the magical ancient art of wire. So I wanted to do a tutorial on a drilled through bead. Okay, so this measures about 3/4 of an inch in circumference, and it's actually 20 millimeters point like 1/8. But anyways, and it's the same on each side. It's slightly domed. Okay, this is actually onyx. And I thought, you know what, let's do a beginner tutorial, maybe semi-intermediate, depending on if you haven't wrapped at all. But if you have been wrapping, you should have no problem doing this. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And you know what, y'all, I'd love a comment, a smiley face, a sunshine, anything you'd like to say. So let's get started. So you need to measure your stone. Mine, as I mentioned, is 3/4 of an inch. You can see that it's sitting, based on its circumference, it's sitting inside of the 1-inch square. So what I did is I cut 3 pieces 8 inches long of dead soft copper wire. 1 is round and 2 are square. So I marked the middle of the square because we're going to be wrapping this, and I'm going to be using half round wire, or you know what, let's use weaving wire to keep it beginner friendly. So I'm going to use a 28 gauge weaving wire. And before I pull that off my spool, I'm going to see if I have enough in scrap, because I got, just so you know, I keep all these envelopes. I mark them with all my gauges and I throw my scrap wire in there, and it looks like I've got plenty. So I'm going to grab this piece and I'm just going to make a series of coils, and I'm thinking about, because this is going to go over the middle, I'm thinking about 20. So all I'm going to do, and let's see, which direction do I want to go? I want to go this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up higher up on the leg. So I'm going to always give you lots of techniques, because I really believe that's everything in this ancient art of wire that will accelerate your journey. And if you notice back here, I just threw in a little piece of tape. That way I can just keep my wires together. And these are the 2 square wires. And I'm just going to start coiling a series of wraps until I see how wide they are across the stone. Then I'm going to push them together. And then I'm going to do that again, and then I'll slide it all down. And slide them together. Just going to put this on my stone right here. And I think that might be good. So let me measure this for you since I didn't count. I think it's about 22 or so. So I did just over, if you look at my board here, I did just over 1/4 of an inch. So it's about 22 wraps. And I'm going to slide this down to the middle. Let me make sure I'm still in my middle. So I'm going to measure both my wires. This is the middle of the 8 inches. The number 4 here. So it's 4 inches in on both sides. And I'm going to check that out again. I'm going to leave the tail because I may or may not be unraveling or adding more. So that's what we're going to do there. So I'm going to set this aside. And now what you want to do is you want to mark the middle of your 8-inch round. So this is our 8-inch 20 gauge round. Now let me stop for a minute. I want to make a comment. Before you go and cut all your wires, you want to make sure that your wire is going to fit through the hole of your stone. Okay? So I can either set this down on my board and slide this to the middle of the 4-inch mark, which is the easiest for me. That looks pretty good. And then just for a guide, I'm just going to mark the top and the bottom. I'm only doing that as a guide, so in case I move my wire up and down. And then what I'm going to do, and this is going to be a little fiddly, because we're going to add these wires on top, and we're going to separate them out in the middle. And just a jiff here. So I'm going to bend my wire at the mark over because I need it to be good and tight in there. And then I'm going to come right up underneath it on the outside of the stone. You want to hold real firmly, and I'm going to bend it back up. So we've got this little bend in it. And round wire just loves to roll. So let me get that back in there. I'm going to bend it back for a second here just to keep it in that position. And then I'm going to bend this back. Just for right now so it doesn't fiddle around on me. Let me pull that back up. Turn it. Don't worry about this wire down here. We'll be correcting that in a minute. I need to get this nice and tight in my stone. So maybe bend your wire down a little bit further than you need, because then I'm going to come up underneath it and bend it up. That's the bend I really want. And I needed to bend this down first to achieve that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up towards the middle, and this is the reason why I left existing tail wire. And what you're going to do is we're going to come here and let's see, you're going to hold firmly. Now you could tape this around your stone, and the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to separate these out a little bit. So I'm just separating these out, and then I'm going to bend them over the top of my stone. So I'm going to push one down, and I'm going to push the other one down. So you have that. So this is the very fiddly part. So I think at this point, you might want to tape your stone. So let me show you how to do that. Oh my goodness, I got wire all over the place. And cut myself a piece of tape. And I probably should have done it first, but you get to see me in my working progress here. Because everything I do, if you're new to my channel, I do not sketch. It is all in my mind's eye. I just see things and I say, okay, let's do this, and why don't I do a tutorial on it? I don't sketch. I wish I could, but my girlfriend always says, why don't you take a class? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tape the wires first so that I have more control. And we can always slide that weaving wire down. And then, now that I got everything so discombobulated, probably don't even say that right. I'm going to put my stone in here. Oh, good Lord. Got myself a mess going on. I just lost my tape. Okay, you guys, you're just going to have to bear with me here. This is a little cuckoo lala. Slide that down. This is why I meant if you're new to wire wrapping, you probably won't be able to do this. But you know what? You can't learn if you don't try. So now I'm going to hold that down firmly. And we can adjust this later, but I just want to get my little legs down there, and I'm going to pull these wires. I need to get this down a little bit further. There we go. Now I'm going to tape. I'm just going to wrap that around my stone. You'll have a lot more control now. Now I'm going to adjust my round wire here so that bend is facing towards me. Just adjusting that. And then I'm going to push this down over the stone. I had this idea just a few minutes ago, and I said, well, let's try that. I was just looking at the stone, and I said, let's try that, you know, and do a tutorial on it. So let me spin this guy around. I want the neck. And I know what the problem is. It's this wire back here. It's pitching me off. There we go. I just released it. It was stuck to the tape. Okay, so you want these pressed down over the stone good and tight. Make sure on your square wires that the flat side is up. If you see, I don't know if you can see this. If you look down the top here on my wire, it's kind of turning to the left a little bit. So maintaining the flat side, I'm going to rotate it towards my body. Okay, so I'm rotating it towards me to keep it on the flat side. And I want it really good and close to this wire here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but this time these are going to sit in the back. And I'm anchoring, I'm pushing off the stone. So I've got my plier against the stone, and I'm just going to square that up. And I need to turn this middle wire around. Then I'm going to turn over. Hopefully I don't lose my tape, because that's a godsend right now. And I'm just anchoring right next to the stone, and I'm going to square that up. Just squaring it up. And I need to turn my other wire, which is my middle wire, around. That bend in the wire has to go towards the back. So I'm going to do that just by holding my wire down here and spinning it until it's lined up. So now they're lined up. Do you see that? Then I'm just going to flatten those down all together. Get this wire centered up. And this is probably becoming more complicated than I intended it to be, y'all. I was hoping that it would be much easier, but I'm realizing when I was a beginner, although some people do it, you know, which I love. Okay, so I'm holding very firmly here because I'm going to be working off my spool. And I'm going to grab my 28 gauge weaving wire. And this actually was a lie. I ordered this not from Rio because I didn't want a big pound spool. And I did not order it from Rio Grande. And it's really 30 gauge. I can tell because it's too soft to be 20 gauge. So I'm going to keep the wire in the back. And I'm going to wrap 2 coils. And I need to get my wire up here. It's a little fiddly. If you need to really tape everything down, okay, you can do more tape because we'll be messing around down here in a little bit. That's 2.5 because this wire is sticking out. Let's see, how many did I get there? Let me see where this is resting. Okay, so that's 3 coils. Then the wires coming underneath, line these guys up. They're going to fiddle around a little bit because of this wire down here. It's going to want to move around. And then I'm just going to do 3 coils on the outside square wire. Once we get this secure, it'll be much easier for you. So there's my 3rd. Straighten that up. Make sure I maintain center there. So now, let me unravel some of this spool. I'm coming, and this slid down too far. Got to slide it up. There we go. I want my wires parallel to each other. Okay, so we're coming around on the 4th. We're going to go over the middle wire. We're going to come back in between. We're going to go over the outside wire, and we're going to come back in between. And that's going to be our pattern. So now I'm going to do 3 coils. That's 1. This is 2. This is my 3rd. My wire's coming underneath, okay? Oops, it's getting tangled up over here. I need to move my spool somewhere else. It's not working up there, so I'm going to move it. Sometimes I just drop it on the floor. So sorry about that, y'all. Now I'm going to go over the outside wire because my wire was coming underneath 3 times. On my 4th rotation, I'm going to come over the middle wire, around it, come back in between the 2 bottom wires, then over the outside wire and come back in between, and then I'm going to do my 3 coils. This is my 2nd and my 3rd. So let's do this a couple more times. And then we're going to weave up 1 inch, okay? So now the wire's coming out underneath. I'm crossing underneath the middle wire. I'm going to wrap around my outside wire 3 full rotations. So that's 3 full rotations. As I'm coming over on my 4th, I'm going to wrap over the middle wire, come in between the 2 bottom wires, wrap over the outside wire, come in between, and do 3 full rotations. So that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. I just thought it would be really cool for all of you to see a different way to wrap a stone with a hole in it. So I'm going to do my 3 rotations again. I'm always going to snug my wires up. Coming in between and wrapping around that outside wire, and then do 3 full rotations. So now you should have this down. I'm going to do up to the 1 inch mark. And don't worry about how wonky this is down here, what this is doing, because we'll be able to straighten that all out, okay? So I would keep your tape on for now, unless you think you don't need it. And then that way, you feel secure holding on to your stone. This is how I normally wrap, is I'll always turn my work over. Was that 2 or 3? That was my 3rd. Yeah, coming around the back. Wait, let me count. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to have a slight spread on it. As you can see, the wires aren't perfectly straight, and I wanted them like that. I'm just going to turn this wire out a little bit, always maintaining the flat side. This one I'm going to turn out a little bit. I'm just straightening it up so the flat side is always up. Now, if you want, before I do the rest off camera, I'm always going to give you different techniques. If you wanted to spread this out more, you could. You could just come in with your fingernails and spread it out more, or you could bring them closer together. It's really up to you. I'm just going to let the natural flow where the wires are lining up just stay as they are. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm almost done, and I just wanted to let you know that the weave is very unique on each side. So we've got this could be the front or the back, but this is the back, and all of those weaves are on a very soft diagonal. Do you see that? So they're just slightly diagonaling up as we're going. And that's the nature of this pattern. So I'm looking at the length here, and I think that's good for me. So I'm just gonna cut off and leave myself, because I'm not sure. If you've been following me for a while, I never know if I'm gonna need tail wire. So I always leave a ton of wire. Because you never know. I'm creating as I go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape off just temporarily to see if I'm lined up here, and I am. Okay, and then I'm just going to bend it forward a little bit. Make sure you slide your weaving down. I do mostly all my bales with my hand. And I tape that back down. I'm just going to come around here. And then what I'm going to do before I complete my bale is I'm going to lift my legs up. Let me make sure they're equal here. So I'm just going to lift all these legs up, and I'm just holding firmly at the curve that I made, and I'm just going to lift them up. So you have something like this. And then I'm just going to use my thumb to swing in that bale. That's all I'm going to do. And we're just going to have this beautiful bale. So it's plenty of room for a chain, and it looks like this. Isn't that cool? It's almost got like a line straight down the middle of it, and that's because of that center wire that's popping out, as well as the way that we wrapped around it. So now I am going to take my tape off. I don't really need it anymore. It's pretty secure. And I'm going to come and move all these wires out of the way. That's starting to look like a rat's nest. And I can still slide this around in the middle. And I'm just going to leave them because I don't know if I'm going to use them. And I've got my wires coming around the back. I'm going to come in here and straighten this wire out. And I'm going to take my tape off the end here. Because if you remember, I bent it down before because I wanted it to stay in the stone without sliding back and forth. I know it seems a little weird right now, the way everything's looking. Okay, so this one I don't need. I'm going to push my stone way up. So this little guy right here that we started our weaving pattern with, I'm just going to wiggle jiggle and snap off. And then this one in the back, this is why I always leave tail, is because I do things as I go. I'm going to need to do a few more coils, but then again, I think I can get away with it. I'm going to tie the neck together. And I'm going to do 3 full wraps. And as I'm coming around the back, I'm looking at where these are lining up. I'm going to wrap around. You want to hold on tight. I'm going to lift up this leg right here so I have some working room. I'm going to come up underneath it. And I'm going to rock that wire and pull it really tight so it's nice and clean in the front. And we've just tied our bale together. So let's wrap off on this leg. I'm just going to slide my wire up. You can always move it out on this side. That's easier. And I'm holding my bale very firmly. How many coils do I have there? I have 2. Hold on, y'all. I got to let my pup out. Okay, so I did 3 coils. So this is our back, which could be our front. You guys, this is kind of a front and back thing. So I'm looking at my wraps here. I'm pretty good with that. I'm just going to go ahead here. So now we're in the back, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, in the front. Now I'm in the back. I'm going to separate these back wires out. Okay, we've got our middle wire here. I want that there. And so I'm going to separate them out even more. Make sure that you maintain the flat side. So I'm just going to use my plier to open that up. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the wires in the front. I'm going to separate them, just doing that with my finger. So we've got this middle wire here. I'm going to lift up on this guy because I'm not going to use him yet. I'm probably going to cut him off and curl him. I just see things and I'm like, you know, that's what I'm going to do back there. And then obviously I change my mind a lot. Oops, I just hit my camera. Okay, so it looks like a big mess here, but we're on the front, okay? And then this is the back, and I just kind of lift it up on this middle wire, and I'm going to take the wires in the front and roll them over. So I'm rolling them over the stone. So we have this. And then I'm going to push them around the back, which could be the front. Okay? Then this wire here in the back, I'm going to bring it, this one I'm going to swing around the back. So this is the one that's coming out the middle of the stone. I'm going to swing it around the back. And then I'm going to line it up with this one in the middle. That's why we needed that space. And this one I'm just going to let it hang out on the bottom. Okay? I know it ended up being a lot more complicated than I was hoping, you guys, but it's just impromptu for me. It's all impromptu. So we're going to let this guy hang out here. Now we're going to just bring these two wires that are sticking out, the square ones on the back, to the front. And I'm going to use my plier to roll it over the stone. I'm going to get it relatively close to these guys, and I'm just going to use my finger to curve it out. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Bring this over the stone. You want it good and tight. Maintain your flat side of the wire. I could see mine turning in. I'm going to make sure I'm on the flat side. Just rolling that over my stone, and then I'm just following and curving it out. And I'm really glad I left this weaving wire, because you never know, right? I'm going to slide my weaves down. Just going to push them down a little bit. Not a whole lot, because they're already in there pretty tight. Okay, so we have this. So let me see how much tail wire I have here, because that may be enough for me just to connect these two wires here. So the wire is coming out from underneath. I'm going to wrap it over. And then on the second rotation, as I'm coming around, it's a short wire, but I just want to connect these two on bottom. I'm just going to push it up underneath, so it rolls over the top. So see, it's kind of pushing up underneath. I want to slide it up all underneath all my weaving wires and slide it down. And then I just want to bring those two little loops, the little coils, together. And then I'm going to coil off here 2 times. And then we're going to bring in more wire. hold pretty firmly so I can tighten them up together. So I'm squeezing those wires together here. Then wrap around again. And then I'm going to tighten them up. So we've connected the front, right? Then this back wire here, I think, because this is all in my mind's eye, I am now going to lift up on it, and I'm going to take it all the way up. I'm going to separate these two so I can see what I'm doing, and you can see what I'm doing. And it's right here, not this one, not the one coming around from the bottom, the one here coming off the bail. I'm going to bring it over my bail. But before I do anything else, I'm going to make a tighter curve in that. I want it closer to my bail, so I'm going to swing it towards me first, which is going to take the bow out of that wire. And be careful not to compromise your bail. And I'm just pushing it against the middle. Then, I have no idea how anything is ever going to come out, you guys. It's just how I work, you know? If you've ever followed, and she's a phenomenal artist, her name is Susan, and she's branching out into some other things, and I'm so happy for her. She's been around for a long time. She's just an incredible artist. I'm trying to think the name of her site, her channel. It'll come to me in a minute. And she's so methodical. She's just an amazing artist. So I'm figuring out what I'm going to do with this, but I've got it in the back, and I'm just going to leave it there because I want it out of my way. Now we have these wires here, and we're going to connect these, and I'm probably going to spiral this one. Yep. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this really tight, holding very firmly on my stone. I really want it hugging this round wire up here. I know it's probably looking so confusing right about now, y'all. Slide those together because we need to connect these in the front. And I'm thinking about incorporating these in the back to the front and then just tucking away. So let's get these wires out so we can see what we're doing. So we've got our 2 square wires here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing this one out to the left and this one out. I want to make sure that wire is not rolling. And this one out to the right. And I've still got this weaving wire back here. So I'm going to come in between those. I'm going to fold it over my stone. I can see the wire pitching, so I'm going to roll it to its flat side. And then I'm going to fold this over the stone, and we're going to incorporate these into the front of our piece. And I'm just rolling the wire, making sure that the flat side is always up. I'm going to just push them down for right now. This is giving me a visual of what and where I want to go with these wires. So I'm just going to bring them together, pinching them together. Let's see. I want this on the shoulder more, and my wire, that flat wire was rolling. So I'm going to lift up on it, just getting it into the flat position. Okay, so we have this now, and I'm going to kind of scoop this right here closer to the inside wires and scoop this right here. Just kind of lining them up. And I've got this loose wire here, so this is a great opportunity. I'm going to lay those out there. to connect them. So I'm going to say this is more intermediate. Sorry, beginners. I'm sure by now I may have lost you. So I'm going to come out here and I am going, let's see, do I want to go under? No, I'm good. So I'm going to wrap here this way. Then I'm going to push it down. And then I'm going to wrap, pushing my wires together. So I'm over the top. I'm going to wrap this way. So I'm just wrapping around it. I'm going to push them down. These need to be closer together up here. So I'm just squeezing them in. Then, just going to let those hang out in the middle right now, okay? I need to connect these. I've got all this, because this is scrap wire. Okay, so I'm going to feed this underneath. We're just connecting our wires, and it's coming out from the top, so it's coming underneath towards the top of the stone. Oops, and I'm in the wrong direction. I didn't want to go that way, y'all, so I'm going to back out of this. I wanted to go down. Instead, I went up. Everything is a work in progress. I need to go under again, but this time towards the bottom. Just got myself a little lost there. See, it keeps wanting to go up that way. I want it to go down. So I'm going to keep my thumb there. Get this out of the way because I know it's probably confusing to look at. See, that 5-6 inches of wire that I saved just gave me the opportunity to coil these wires together or attach them. So it's coming out underneath. I'm going to separate these out a little bit so I can get up underneath them. And I'm just going to slide this up. I need to open these up a little bit more. They're a little too close, so I'm getting caught up there. I'm going to push my weaving back together. Now I'm coming over the top again. I'm going to wrap around this wire here on my right. I'm going to separate these out a little bit more. And I'm going to feed my wire under again. Pulling it down. You want to keep a healthy loop on your wire, so I'm turning that around till I can pull it up underneath. I'm going to line these up. Okay. I'm going to separate this out even more so I have more room in there because I'm separating my weave in the middle and I'm not happy about that. I just pushed them back together, if you caught that. So I just need more working room to get my wire underneath. Cinch them up. And I'm hoping I have enough to go around one more time. It certainly creates a very pretty 3D effect. Swing that out a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I have enough just to make it one more set of rotations. So I'm going to slide this down. I'm going to flip my loop around so it doesn't ride on top of itself. And I do. Yay. So this time I'm going to do 2 wraps on the leg here and then 2 wraps on the other leg. And that will complete connecting these wires together. We'll take a look here and see what else we want to do. Honestly, I couldn't do the same thing all the time, you guys. I know everybody's different, but for me, I have to be challenged constantly. It's just how my mind works. Okay, I like not knowing what I'm going to do. Oh, that's so cool looking. At least I think so. So let's crank these down a little bit. And we're going to figure out what we're going to do with these guys in the back. I'm just not sure yet. I'll probably maybe tuck or maybe make a little swirl or bring it back down. I don't know. I just have to see it. And once I see it, then I know I'll be good to go. Or I hope, right? I'm going to get rid of this little tail wire. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to keep this one on the back because I'm not sure. I'm looking at how I can connect these off, and if I can bring this wire back down in the middle, tie them together and just swirl them out. I'm looking at that too. So I just have to wait sometimes for things to come to me. All right, so now what do we want to do with the front? We've got a lot of options here. I'm thinking of bringing these around back. So let's get them lined up really nicely. This one's a lot longer. Sometimes having off-centered length can play with your eyes. So what do we want to do? I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to curve this out a little bit more. And then I'm going to curve this out a little bit more. You always want to look at your work in all directions so that you maintain symmetry. And just take your time. This wire's rolling up a little bit, so I'm going to roll it forward. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's pretty cool. I'm just going to hug it a little closer against the stone and then pitch them up because I want to connect them here. Okay, so we're going to cross over here. I might swirl them in. I don't know. So let me see what I got for scrap wire here. And I know I got a lot. So I'm going to start on my top wires here. And I am going to have, which direction do I want to go? I want to wrap over that. So I'm going to bring my wire under. And I'm going to make 3 full rotations. So let's see, it's under. So that's 3 full. And then I'm going to slide these down a little bit because I'm going to capture this wire here. So I'm going to come over it and come up underneath it and pull good and tight and slide these wraps down. Make sure this is good and tight. And then I'm going to do, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 6, that's 8, that's 10, that's 12, 16, 20. Just going to push my coils in. That's looking pretty cool. I'm liking that. Tell you here in a minute. So that's 30. So you want to do the same thing over here. So we're going to get some scrap wire. Hopefully I have a long enough piece or I'll have to cut. Looks like I'm running out of long pieces. Got a lot of 4 and 5, but I want working wire on that. So I tell you what, I'm going to cut myself here, just so that I have some working wire, 8 to 10 inches. So I'm going to do the same thing over here, and you always want your wires on each side starting and ending in the same direction because you're mirroring. So I know my wire is coming out here. It's coming out on the outside. I need to come this way. Let me take a look. I'm getting confused myself. My wire is on the outside of the inside wire. Okay, that'll work. So I need to do 3 wraps on this curved top wire. Is that 3? I can't see. Getting some weird lighting in my window. I need to slide these wraps down so I can see what I'm doing. That's not 3 full. I need 3 full. There we go. Now we're matching up. And then as before, I'm coming, let's get all these guys out of the way. Coming up underneath the wire, underneath this wire here, pulling really tight. And then I'm going to wrap coils all around this leg. I think it was about 30 or 31, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I coiled both sides. I'm going to snap these where we started our coils, holding very firmly on my piece. You just want to hold everything down really firm. When you're doing a snapping of the wire, you always want to make sure that you hold your finger near the weaving, very close to the weaving that you're going to snap, and it's just a wiggle jiggle. Okay, so we got this, and I'm still stinking thinking about the back. And these here, we could either coil and then incorporate them here, or we could just make a gentle curve or in them up. We could bring them around back, but I want to focus on the back here for a minute because I've been really thinking about what I want to do with this. This, I can just cut off and let it just make a little tiny loop right here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this forward like that. Then I'm going to come in and I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it away and I'm going to bend the tip. And I want to get a good grip on that tip. I'm going to flatten it down a little bit. And I'm just going to pull and roll it like that. Then I'm going to get my flat nose and I'm going to tuck it into my bail. So we got this little tiny baby loop. That looks great. Cosmetically, it's very pretty. Okay, so this guy, he's the one that's got me all... I'm thinking of just making a spiral, which I could easily do, and then... Or we could make a little loop. See, I see all this, everybody. I know I say that a lot because I just see it, and then I'm telling you out loud what I just saw. We could make a little loop on the bottom or a spiral, and you could hang a bead from it. So let's keep that idea because that seems the easiest than trying for you guys to spiral in this big, huge spiral on the back. And I think that will work very well. And then we can connect these wires to the back. So I am going to pull this, and you could still do a spiral on the bottom. I'm going to pull this all the way down. I am really straightening up that wire. See, what I mean by doing a spiral is we could cut this wire down to about 1.5 inches, okay? You would push the wire to the far right and then spiral it in, so you just have this little spiral on the bottom, or we just make a tiny little loop, and then you could just let a bead dangle from there, and that would be really pretty too. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna push this straight up. I do not need all this wire, so I'm going to leave about 1 inch just to have working wire. Then we could either double loop it in, or triple loop it in, or single loop it in. I'm going to double loop it in. So I'm going to use my number 1. And I'm going to need, let me measure this. I already think I'm pretty sure what I'm going to need. So I've got just a little shy of 1 inch. We'll leave that. If we need to cut some of the tail off, we will. And I am going to start rolling this wire in. And I think I just need to cut a little bit off, because I got to roll it in all the way, because I'm still rolling towards the base of the stone, okay? So I'm just going to come in here and roll again. Now I don't want to see that cut end out the front, so I need to look at that and see if I can see it, and I can. So I'm going to come back in and trim that even more. I just want it tucking underneath. So I'm going to put my plier in there, and I'm going to really turn that in so it's nestling against the stone. Isn't that cool? That's our little bottom there. So we can easily add a bead later. I just need to make sure these are nice and tight. So there we have it. So now we're just going to decorate. So I'm looking at these. I'm pretty sure I want to swing them around back. I think these I want to just curl in. And I think that's what I'm going to focus on first. So I'm going to do a couple of more wraps. And I'm really going to hold very firmly. And I'm going to make sure those coils are pushed in good and tight. Just bending that there to see where it's lining up. We will not need this wire in the back anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that. Holding very firmly when I start pushing down on my wires. Okay, so I'm thinking I want to focus on these now. So here's a couple of, just to give you guys inspiration, because you should do whatever you want or whatever you see. So let's slide these down. Okay, slide those up. We can bring these, both of them, around the back and connect them to these wires here. But I'm wanting to keep it a little bit more simple. We could coil these all the way and then curl it in and leave a tail wire and wrap it around here. I mean, you can go so many different ways. I'm very tempted to just bring them around the back, but I also want to leave it more simplistic, because this could easily be double-sided, very easily. Just two very different looking pieces. I'm stinking thinking. I'm not going to coil these. I'm going to do some more coiling here, just a couple of more. I'm just getting an idea because I'm going to bend this over my stone where that's going to rest. I'm not sure if I want to coil all the way through or just let it stop right on the shoulder of the stone. So I've got enough wire to cover the shoulder of the stone. Because I'm using scrap wire and I didn't have even amounts of wire, I'm going to be limited about what I can do over here. So I have to take that into mind over here. Because I really don't want to bring in wire, especially coils, at this time. So I'm just going to keep bending that over my stone. I can bring in wire when I need to connect. Okay, I'm going to get my pliers. I'm holding very firmly. I'm pushing that against my stone so that I don't jackknife my wire. I'm going to do that again. Okay, so let's go ahead, take a look here. Okay. Let me see what we got going. It should be pretty close. So I'm going to line these up. I want the flat side of my wire up. And then I'm going to, like the other one, you always want to look at both sides. I'm going to push this over the shoulder of the stone. I'm going to come around the front and check my symmetry. Just gently pushing those wires as they're crossing over in the back. This one needs to come up a little bit. I'm actually thinking I want them down further. I like more of a curve in them. And that will happen when we curve them here. So I'm just going to push this here down. Then I'm just going to get my plier. I'm going to grab the tip. If I don't keep sliding off of it, because I don't have a lot of wire to work with here. And I'm just going to start curving it against this wire here. We're going to have just enough to tie off. Yep. So this one's easier because I'm right dominant, so I can just come in and curve that in. Because we're going to tie off on these wires here. Just looking at that. I think I want these curved down more. So I'm going to come in. I don't want to slip off. So even though the wire is not connected in the back, I'm holding very firmly just to change the shape. I'm just pitching it out more. I like that better. I'm going to pitch this out a little bit more on this side, just turning the wire out. Okay. We're going to get rid of these once we connect them in the back. So now we're just going to work on these and we'll be done. I hope you like it, you guys. I'm sorry if it got a little confusing. It's because I do everything freestyle. I'll show you a piece I just started. Where is it? Yesterday. This is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you can see all the striations in there. This is a rutile, or also known as a rutilated quartz. And this is a 7mm faceted garnet from India. And I just was playing around and I kept thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And that's how it happens for me. I just start playing and then I stop, then I walk away, and then I say, how am I going to connect this stone? How am I going to keep it from moving? This is what goes through my mind. So I want you to know I'm like everybody else. I'm progressing all the time because I'm always challenging myself. So I just had to share that with you. I think it's really cool looking, and you could wear it literally on both sides. Be very different pendant. So whatever your mood is. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you. So now we're thinking stinking again. Do I want to bring these around the back or do I want to curl them in on the front? And I think I want to bring them around back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect these here. I need to connect these and then I'm going to roll them in. So I'm going to hold firmly here and get this swung out a little bit more. Need a good bend on that. I'm holding up on the shoulder where the wires are, just bending these in a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to get weaving wire. And I'm looking at where my gap will be. I can either go underneath and connect them that way and literally hide. And this time I'm going to use a 26. I want a good connection in the back. So I'm going to use a 26 gauge because I'm going to come up underneath, and this is plenty. So I've got a piece of scrap wire here, approximately 6.5 inches of long. And I'm going to put it underneath the entire piece. I'm going to find the area that I can get up underneath the easiest, and it looks like it's going to be, and I may have to lift up on those back wires a little bit. I am. So let me show you another technique. I did a lot of Native American industry. I've made flutes. I've worked with leather. I spent 33 years with a very dear friend of mine that was a Cherokee elder when he passed. And this is a carving knife, but I'm going to, it's like an X-Acto blade. I'm going to come up underneath these wires and very gently, I'm pushing the wire up so I can get up underneath it. It's a very thin blade, so it's not going to compromise my work. So I'm going to come here, just see my blade underneath there now? I just need working room. And then I can push those all back down. Now I'm going to get my 26 gauge because this is a thicker wire. And I need to have it really straight to get it up underneath there. Let me try this way. Let me see where I'm most at ease pushing it through. I need to get this up more. This is a really cool technique. When people look, they say, well, where did she connect it at? Because you don't see any top connecting wires. Need to get up underneath that. So I'm kind of rolling the wire up. Just rolling it up a little bit. All I need to do is get this guy under there and then we're good to go. There we go. So let's get all this paraphernalia out of the way. Let's even up our wires. Going to bring them together. Now we're going to connect. We're going to squeeze everything together. I'm going to roll the tips of these out. I have a resident fly walking on my board. Do you see him right there? Get. I don't know. It's the most annoying creature to me on earth. I know it has its place. I swear, you guys, this feels like 24, not 26. Let me grab a piece of 26. Oh my God, that's not 26. I thought it felt thick. I'm like, why does this feel so thick? That's 24 gauge wire. I need 26. Let me try this again. So to be sure, I'm just going to cut it off my spool I thought, I'm like, gosh, that feels awful thick. I'm thinking that in my mind. They're not too far behind each other. All right. Let's get this under there. Okay, let's try this again. Get all these crazies out of the way, which we'll be cutting off very shortly. Okay, I'm holding very firmly, and I'm going to wrap around my wire here until just one loop until I connect it on the other side. Then I'm going to squeeze together, everybody together. I'm going to pull through really tight, holding the shoulders, okay? You got to hold real tight. If anything, I will leave you with this, everyone. If you're just new to this, trying is everything, because that's how you learn. Even though you may not be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're watching, you learn so much when you try the different techniques. I promise you, your mind is loving it. You're creating new neural pathways in your brain. It's really cool. I need to get in a better working position so I can slide that up. And you can use 28 gauge weaving wire here. I just know the 28 I got is really not 28. And I don't want 30 back here connecting these. So now I'm going to wrap over all of them and push it through if I still can. Oh, I had it there for a second. There we go. You see that? So I'm going to come across all these wires so that I have a really good, tight connection. And because this is a thicker weaving wire, I'm going to get in there and flatten that down. And then I'm going to wrap 3 full rotations. And we have an excellent connection back here. Then I'm going to push these up with my plier. Okay, so now here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get a really good connection again, push that wire through there. Hold very firmly as I'm pulling it through. You want it good and tight. Come in with my plier and flatten that wire out a little bit. Roll this out of my way so I have some working room. And then I'm going to do 3 full rotations. Move this out of the way so that wire coils all the way. And you can see how this wire doesn't slide because it's so much thicker. Give it a good snug. Get back in there with my last coil. I'm just going to slide it through instead of struggling with it. Hold very firmly, pushing down on all my core wires so that we've got a good tight connection. And I'm just going to line up my coils. This turned out pretty cool. All right, let's grab in the middle here. I wanted to slide in that wire that we brought up underneath so that you didn't see it. Holding real firm. Okay, now we can come back and spread these out over the shoulder again because we've got a great connection. And I'm going to get rid of these. I will not need them. So I'm pushing my coils back with my thumbnail, holding very firmly, and just a wiggle jiggle. Because all that cranking on there, it readjusted our coils. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to try to grab only on the bare wire here, okay? And I'm just going to fold that. I'm folding it down towards the stone so I have more of a bend on it. And then we're going to make coils or little loops. Fold that towards the stone. Let's take a look up front. That looks good. I'm going to be very careful on my weaving here. Just a little bit more of a bend there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to even up our legs. I'm pulling down and pulling down on them. I'm going to cut this. And cut this. And let's see, let's make sure they're the same length. Look pretty close to me. I'm going to get rid of this weaving wire, holding very firm. I mean, you push good and hard down on those wires and that stone before you start yanking on wire to snap off. This one needs to be curled in, which can often create an illusion, make you think it's longer. So I'm just going to curl it in a little bit. And I do think that it's just a wee bit like a rabbit's hair. That's better in my mind's eye. So I like them just like that. I could get a drill right now and really bevel those edges there. But for the sake of the tutorial, we're just going to curl them in, and I'm not going to even use round nose. I'm just going to grab the tip and hold very firmly on the shoulder of the wire coming around. Don't let it move. And I'm just going to turn that in to itself. Just like that. Holding very firmly on the shoulder of the wire. Turning it in. I still think this one's longer. I'm seeing more on it, but we'll see here in a minute. Just turning it in to itself. Well, maybe not. I'm going to turn it in even more and lift up so that it lines up down here. And then I'm just going to squeeze them in. So we have that. Pretty cool design. Now we got to do these guys. So we need to line them up again because I was jacking on my wires a lot. So I need to make sure we've got good symmetry here before we bring them around to the other side of the stone, that the flat side of the wire is up. So you really want to check your symmetry here. So I'm going to hold right here at the edge. So I'm holding my wire firmly with my thumb and slowly, slowly, just pushing it over the stone. Holding my wire over here with my thumb and just pushing it, little tiny movements over the stone. So we want to match them up. This one can come down a little bit and my wire is pitching. So I'm going to roll it to flatten it to keep that flat side up. This one can come in. We'll be making adjustments anyways. So now you want to try to line them up here when you're looking at them. And I'm just going to push and push and push them over and go ahead and let them cross over. Boy, that's really pretty right there. I like that. Now that's making me think of something else. It's such an amazing art. I just love it so much. Okay, so I'm looking at my front here. Need to make a little adjustment in this one. I'm just going to straighten it a little bit. It's got to come over just a little. Okay, that wasn't right. I just shifted everything. Let's see. I'm going to come around the back, making an adjustment here. I'm sorry for the complete dead silence, you guys. I'm doing a symmetry check. I think it's this one here that's throwing me off. I'm going to push it up and then I'm going to roll it. There's something here that's throwing me off. Okay, that's really bugging me, and I'm fiddling with it too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really turn that out and turn this out. Just need to keep those lined up. There we go. That's better. It was really bugging me. And a lot of times it can just be the way the coils are sliding. This needs more separation down in here. So I'm just going to gently, very gently. Okay. I think that will work. Isn't that pretty? That's really pretty. I still think I need more gap here. So I'm going to straighten that there. Okay, that's much better for my mind's eye. Pull this down over the stone. Just want to make sure it's the same gap. And all that fiddling I did, I pulled a wire. So I need a smaller needle nose. Just trying to figure out where it's at. There it is. So I'm just going to come in and then trim that off. I got to stop messing with it, but I will later. Believe you me, I can't let anything go. Okay, I think that's beautiful. What do you think? So let's finish the back. Now, I saw a ton of things I could do here, but I'm not going to do it. So, because it's going to get really complicated, and I'm already complicating it for you. I'm lining them up in the center. I want my wire nice and straight there. Just crossing them over in the center. And then I'm just going to hold here, and I'm going to pull this wire out. Probably be easier with your plier, and just swing it around. And we're going to go up underneath again. And now I'm just going to swing that around underneath my little loop here. Just like that. And the same thing over here. I'm going to hold. Grab my tip. Now I can use my hands. I love to use my hands as much as I can. And I'm going to swing it around underneath that loop. So we have this. And now we're going to connect these and then just swirl them in to, and I'm hoping I have enough room underneath. I am not going to use 26 gauge. It was very important for here to have a really good, strong connection. And I may even cut these loops even more. I don't like a flush end. I'm going to probably use my drill. And if you guys are ever interested in seeing how you can drill on wire, let me know. I need your feedback because a lot of that is really advanced. I'm going to swing this down even more. And this, I'm doing that on the tip of the wire. Just putting more of a curve in it. Okay, so I'm going to get my 28. And I won't need much, so let me see what I got for scrap here. That piece will work. Those are too small. This might work. You need weaving, you know, working wire when you're trying to get in between somewhere. Let's see. I mean, I could use a little short piece of wire, but I don't want to struggle, especially when I'm teaching. Okay, let's try. So I'm thinking about just showing you how to hide the wire, but I'm going to come underneath all of them. I'm going to line my wires up so that I have roughly equal amounts on each side. Let's pull that through a little bit more. And this time I'm going to work my way down instead of coiling up. And I'm just going to come back up underneath that, holding very firmly. I'm going to pull slow because I don't have this wire connected yet. Then I'm going to pull it in from the other side. That way I don't bend or tweak my wire. And then I'm going to pull, come up underneath, whatever is easiest. Just find your easiest access. And, oops, I didn't feed that through right, you guys. I just caught it. I'm sure some of you caught that. I need to wrap it around the outside wire first. Wait, what do I got going here? Okay, I see what I did. I went over both wires and I only wanted to go through the outside one. Just need to feed that under there. Now I'm going to hold them together very firmly and I'm going to pull, squeezing these wires with my fingers. Then I'm going to come around the other side, hold everything together very firmly, and I'm rocking that in. Now I'm going to slide this middle wire down. And that's what we have so far. Now I'm going to wrap both wires. And this is definitely a short piece. Kind of wish I would have cut a longer piece. I'm looking for my easiest access point. I may have to lift up on those. Yep, I'm going to have to. So let me get my handy dandy carving tool. I need to lift up on this wire here. Not the outside one, just this one. But in order to access it, I'm going to have to come under all of them. I'm just trying to find how I can get up underneath it. There we go. So you see me lifting up on that wire, creating a little bow in it. Same thing here. I'm going to lift, I'm rolling that back so I can hopefully get this up underneath there. I want to go around all of them. Just these two outside wires, and I want a good snug pull. And we're almost done. I didn't think this was going to be this long, but hey, how are we going to learn, right? Hold firmly on all my wires and give that a really good pull. Okay, we're going to do that again. Hopefully I should just be able to feed it through now. Slide them up. And let's do this side again. That leaves us with some really pretty wraps. I just wish I had more wire. I would recommend, you guys, that you wrap around both these outside wires 4 times minimum. And I'm going to stick with 3 for right now and see how many I can get with this short piece of wire. Uh-oh, I'm caught up and I'm jackknifing. Jackknifing my wire. There we go. That's because I think I tried to go through 3 wires. Okay, I think that's good. I feel a really good connection there. There's so much I see, you guys. So let me just tell you what I'm thinking. I could bring this wire into a tiny loop and then cross it over. So imagine the wire going like this. Let me show you with my tool like this. Then cross over it. Then I bend it in here, connect it, and then just swirl it off down there. I mean, you can get really decorative, but we want to keep this simple. Now I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if I can feed my wire through. This is called hide your wire, but I'm thinking the way the wires are, because I've got 3 wraps and enough wire. So I did a tutorial on this, but I can do it again because it was quite a while ago. I want to feed this under those wraps, and I want to see if I can get it under there. I did. I got it. So I'm going to such a short little piece of wire. I'm just going to keep pushing that under there. Can you see that coming out? This is called hide your wire, and it's a great way to connect solid wraps. Now, what's really key is you want to leave a very healthy loop like that, and you want it flat. You want it laying down, not sticking up, because you don't want to kink your wire. You want to hold extremely firmly. I'm going to slide some of this through for you, and then I got to cover it with my hand. So you want to hold real firmly. See my wire sliding through? You see that? Now I'm going to hold real firm, and I mean pull, until I feel it lock in. Then all I've got to do is come up underneath right here with my finger and snap it off. So now we're going to do the other side. Another key thing is you want a really clean end. So I'm going to make a loop kind of like a question mark. I'm going to grab the tip of that, and I'm going to feed it up underneath these 3 wraps. Now you want a good healthy loop down there. I'm going to turn around, get in my best working position, and I'm just pulling that through. I'm going to hold my finger there, and you will feel it lock in. And that is such a cool technique. I love that. I actually learned that from Guillermo Soares. He's a wonderful, incredible, very distinct style. Beautiful, like Aztec styles, and unbelievable artist out of Brazil. If you haven't seen him, look him up. He's just phenomenal. And I learned that first from him. And then no sooner did I learn it, I saw it, I started seeing it. You know how that is? You see something and then you start seeing it everywhere. So now we're just going to make a loop. So I'm looking at how much I want to leave, and I'm going to measure precisely here. I'm going to put this down on my board, and I'm going to cut this. Can you guys see this? Let me blow it up. Okay. I can't see it if I lay it down how much I want to cut. So I have to just rest the girth of the stone at the 1/2 inch mark. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to turn this over, let it rest on the girth of the stone, and that is a 1/2. So they look like, but let me look, because it can be so deceiving. Let's see. That is still longer. It's the way it's resting on the board. So I'm just going to take a little bit. Is that the right side? Let me double check, you guys. I'm going to eye this. I'm going to do it by swinging it over just a little bit. It will give me a better visual of the true length. Okay, this is definitely longer. So I'm just going to hug it around the stone a little bit more. Look down. I'm looking down at it. Oh, let me get out of that blow up. And I can see that it's longer. So I'm looking at my lengths here. Still looks a little longer. Okay, so what we're going to do, since we already have our connection, and we will be done, and all you have to do is add a bead, you guys, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm going to get, you can get your round nose. These are that I'm going to use. Sorry, I got a million pliers in my way here, and I just have to get all this paraphernalia out of the way. It makes me crazy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to roll this in first. So we're gonna make a little spiral, and then we're going to curl it in. So I'm gonna turn my work upside down because it's easier for me to see the direction that I'm going here. I'm going to flatten this tip, just gonna squish on it till I've got a little curl in it like that. Then I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm putting, like smashing the tip and putting pressure on it. Am I going in the right direction? Yes. You guys get to hear me say everything I'm thinking out loud. Okay. So just want a little curl on that tip. So now what I'm going to do is I'm on the back. I'm going to roll this into the smallest little loop I can possibly make. It's got this little loop there. I'm going to curl it in even more. Then I'm going to come in with my stub nose pliers. It's a very short jawed flat nose, because sometimes when you're working in a tiny little space, you don't need length on your plier. And now I've made this really pretty tiny loop. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. If you've been watching me for a while, then you all know I do a little bit of everything at the same time. I always work a little of each side. I gotta see where I'm going here. I'm going this direction. So I'm going to make a little tiny loop. Turn my work around so I can see what I'm doing. Curling that in. Then I'm going to get my little stub nose and I'm going to roll and curl that in to itself. So I've got these little loops. Now all we're going to do is lift up on our wire because we need room. Okay, so we got this. And we're going to spiral these in until we possibly hit the stone. Holding very firmly on my piece, I'm just going to push until I reach this part of the stone. Just peeking out the other side. Hold very firmly. You don't want to mess up your wires. So sometimes I'll come in as I'm making a roll because I've got very little wire to work with here, and I'll just stop and squeeze it in. So let me show you that again. Instead of, well, it came in pretty tight there. So now I'm going to roll this side in a little bit more. It's going to be so cool looking. See how I squeezed that in? Then I'm going to roll in a little bit more. Come around here and do the same thing. I need to flatten that. And I'm just rolling them in. This I need to pitch down a little bit. I can see that. Okay, this is a good, tight connection. Really good and tight. So we're just going to push these up. So this is completely double-sided, everyone. Let's take a look at our work, shall we? Now, if you made any dings in your wire, very quickly, just get your 180 grit sanding block and just go over those beautiful spirals, and it will make it look as if we flattened the wire. You're going to see this in a second here the huge difference it makes in the appearance of the wire. So see how you can see the edges here of the flat or the square wire? And here we just smooth that all out where it looks like it's hammered. And it's so tight against the stone, and it tightens everything up as we're going. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Come in a different direction. Look at that. Very cool. Pick your side, right? So we've got this motif or this motif, entirely different each side. It's amazing. Hey, everybody, if you stuck with me, thank you for hanging in there. I'd love your feedback. I'd like to know if you struggled with something. Please let me know. I'm happy to help. I totally believe in paying all things forward. We are no one is an island. We've all learned from over 4,500 years ago from those that came before us. So I honor all our ancestors. So I hope for all of you, you had a great experience with this. If you couldn't pull it off, that's okay. I'm sure you learned a lot of cool techniques. Thank you all for being a part of this magical ancient art of wire. I wish for all of you all that you wish for yourselves. Bye for now.